Hi, I'm Greg, and welcome to another episode of Mad Gear, the show that likes to introduce you to some of the strange, weird, wonderful devices and recording practices for the modern day musician and producer. And on today's show, it's a bit of an odd one. Not that odd, because we're still talking about music equipment and still stuff that is quite mad. And it is to introduce you to the latest, or one of the latest synthesizers from Behringer, which is a recreation of a mid-80s synthesizer by Sequential Circuits, which was the Prophet VS. And it was the first synthesizer to introduce vector synthesis, which is a way of being able to use joystick or modulation, not wheel, but joystick, to morph between waves and actually create patterns that kind of creates evolving sounds. I ordered one yesterday, again, bought with my own money. I got it because I have an SY22, the Yamaha synth from 1990, which was also a vector synthesizer. Without further ado, we're going to open this up. I'm going to see what's in the box, and then I'm going to set it up, play some sounds, give my thoughts. Now, this is supposedly their version of something that's similar to the Korg Volkers. So, opening it up in the box, let's kind of turn this here. Got an instruction manual in Chinese, instruction manual in Japanese, and we have a quick start guide in a variety of languages. So, at least they printed it out, which is kind of useful. We've got a, what is that? USB-C lead, and we have our synthesizer. Not excessive packaging, silk bag of gel. And what's my first thoughts? It's about the same size as a Volker. I'm not entirely sure of this dip down here, whereas the Volkers are kind of like a square unit. But the front panel is metal. There's a nice engraving of Behringer on the back. Now that's plastic, but this is metal. Underneath, no capabilities to run this with batteries, like AA's. But then again, I don't know how many people are these days. Most people are just using power banks. So we've got the joystick. Feels a little, I was hoping a bit more resistance than that. It clicks. You've got, yeah, these all seem pretty decent. So capability-wise, you can use 4 different waveforms. You've got a analog filter, but I think it's only a low pass with resonance. And you've got a analog chorus in here. Other than that, I don't know a great deal about it. You've got a small OLED display there. By all accounts, you've got a MIDI in. I know this is something that people have been complaining about with the JT-4000 Micro that they've come out with, whereas that's only controllable via USB MIDI, whereas at least with this, you've got a conventional MIDI input. There is no speaker. So yeah, on first impressions, it looks pretty well made. It seems sturdy. All the graphics look good. Yeah. Let's now set it up and you can hear for yourself, and let's see what it sounds like. On first impressions, the Behringer Pro VS Mini is ticking all the Mad Gear boxes. Who would have thought you could have bought a synthesizer from 1985 that would normally be 61 keys in something that you could fit it in a reasonably sized jacket pocket? Let's turn the unit on. We've got a nice little OLED display, kind of just saying Behringer and the model number, and it comes up immediately with a patch. So let's have a listen to the first patch. We have a nice graphic display of the waveform, which is nice. And let's look at some of the features. So we have a ADSR envelope that's not shared with any other knobs. And with this, you can choose your amplitude envelope, your filter envelope, and it comes up with your amounts. And there's also a mix, which I'm not entirely sure what that's for yet. The point of this video today is not to go a full in-depth guide on this unit. It's more just to kind of have a look at it, because it is the first unit that Behringer have made that is similar to the Volcas that have been out for quite a while. What else have we got? We have a tempo control, we have a volume control, we have a sync, we got a MIDI in, which is probably going to make a lot more fans than just having MIDI via USB. Now, I don't know whether this will do MIDI via USB. I'm inclined to say it will, but feel free to write in the comments beneath if I am wrong there and you have a chance to test it before I do. You have a LFO with a rate and an amount knob, and you've also got your LFO1, LFO2 button. You have a analog low pass filter on this. There doesn't seem to be a way to change it to any other, so it's not multi-band. You have a analog chorus, and here you can choose between your 4 oscillators, oscillator A to oscillator D, and there are 180 waveforms that you can choose from. Now, I've already seen that somebody said that they're not the same waveforms as on the original. I don't have an original. The only thing I could compare it to would be the Prophet VS on the Arturia bundle, which trying to get this done today, because as I said, this only arrived this morning. I haven't got time to try that out or check that out, but at some point I will do when I do a comparison between this and the Yamaha SY22. We have a right button active, looks like a record button, but it's a square, and you have a function button here, and across the bottom we have, if we press the function, all these light up, and you've got a variety of different settings. So you've got your menu, which will choose either the sequencer or the arpeggiator. You got envelope triggers, whether it be single or multiple. Your MIDI transmit and receive. So if it's transmitting, that would imply that MIDI can be transmitted via USB. MIDI velocity, MIDI CC. You can do sysx data, imports and exports. Now, one thing that would be interesting would be whether this is, you can import settings from the original Prophet VS. That would be quite cool, but we would have to see. Again, with somebody who already has one of those. What else? We got pattern bulk, patterns, you got sysx and the version. I like the fact that once this menu, this function button is pressed, you can just go to the different settings across here. So you got internal source for the sequencer, the sync type. So you got internal MIDI, USB, and trigger. So that's can, I presume, output as well as input. Maybe. We'll go back to internal. We have our arpeggiator, which we've got up and down, and that's it. We've got the sequencer, which is step fixed and record. So I'm presuming this will do, will provide a step sequence as well as recording it in with these. What else have we got? You got your sequencer section, so you got a metronome as well. You've got your LFOs, and you've got triangles, sample and hold, ramp, sawtooth, square waveforms for your LFO. With the oscillator, you've got your waveform to choose. You've got this knob here to choose your waveform, but then you've got the frequency, and by default it's set to coarse, but you can change that to fine if you want to kind of create traditional synth sounds. You've got your filter, that's for your filter envelope amount, and then you've also got your amplitude. Is it amplitude envelope amount? Or that's possibly for doing the recording of this information with the joystick. You've got your name with A to Z alphabet across the bottom, so each of these buttons will respond. Well, we'll type in a letter, which is, and there's also a space, so that's going to save time. You got a initialization button, and you've also got your store. So yeah, it's kind of got most things covered, similar to, say, a Volca. And first of all, let's see. So that's twang bass. Now, the octave buttons are this, but you have to press function and then select it down. Sounds nice so far. Let's try one of the other patches. Now, I can't seem to find a hold button for this so far, but again, I've literally just opened this up, haven't looked at the manual. So let's change that to our amplitude. So, first impressions, I think it sounds really nice. It has a real nice sound to it. I know that's not very descriptive, but it sounds aggressive, but the filter sounds really, really nice. And, you know, the build quality seems good. It's kind of weird because it doesn't seem as bulky as a Volca, even though they are, you know, pretty much a similar size. Let's have a look at another sound. And I really like the wave scope. So will it self-oscillate? It will. So we have a self-oscillating filter, which is nice. What else? We got steel drum. I think this could be a really nice bass machine. What's your tempo there? have a listen to a couple more. Let's turn this arpeggiator off. This chorus is a nice sounding chorus. This is not the easiest of keyboards to play, and because I haven't taken the cover off, it's not reacting as well as I'd like. It's quite easy to hit a different note. Let's have a listen to a couple more. Now, with this having an analog filter, or basically any filter, it's going to be different to the SY22 because, or the SY35, because that didn't actually have a filter at all. So let's, how many programs? We've got 32 programs. So we can hear the joystick being moved from one wave to another. So let's press initialize. So it will say program initialized. What English is that? So there's your basic starting block, oscillator 33. At the moment, the frequency is set to just fine. So let's change that to quartz. Now that's slightly annoying. When you hold a note down and shift the notes, which is in tones or semitones, it's not actually moving with it. You've got to re-trigger. So let's, at least that changes when you turn it. There's some quite aggressive sounds there. So let's choose wave 40 for oscillator A. Let's change oscillator B is set to wave number 126. change oscillator 3C, sorry, to be another one. That's now, I'm presuming this mix will change the level of those waves. No. So I wonder how you can actually change the level of each of the oscillators, because at the moment some seem louder than others. But it is definitely functioning like a wave. Well, it's a vector synthesizer, and it's got some really, really nice sounds in it so far. I'm not going to go on forever on this because it's more just a let's have a quick look at it and see what it sounds like and what it operates like. But at the moment, open octave. On first impressions, playing with this for, 10 minutes, it sounds really nice. The build quality is good. I'm thinking that this is just being slow in its reaction due to the fact there's still the cover on it. The OLED display is, although small, is clear and bright, and I think the build quality is really good. The knobs definitely don't feel any less than, say, the ones on this called Volca modular, which is quite a bit more than this. So this at the moment in the UK is about just under £90, although with shipping it's about 95. My only thought, I just wish this was a bit longer with a little bit more reach, because the wheel on the SY22 is massive. So you've got a lot more, you can move this around and you've got a lot more space between each waveform. But well done, Behringer. I'm not a Behringer fanboy by any means in imagination, but I will say they are making some really decent stuff, and they're providing resources like this to a much, much bigger audience of people who can kind of see what this stuff is like. And I feel using a hardware instrument is more like playing an instrument rather than using software, which makes you feel like you're using a computer rather than playing it. So that is today's episode of Mad Gear. Just a short, brief one. I will follow this up with a comparison between the Pro VS and the Arturia software, and also I will compare this to the SY22 that I have in a flight case downstairs. Any questions, write them in the comments beneath, and thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next episode. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.